In the psychic's chair, the veil between worlds thins, as the smoke deep and let the unseen truths of the immersed, guiding us into the unknown.
Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of In the Psychic's Chair. Tonight, we of course will have Jeremy, our historian, who will be along, Mr. Dickie Attenborough lookalike, who will come and along with me will be chatting about some of the things that we did in the castle a couple of years ago, and in particular about Mr. Wyatt, who was the architect of Brymellin when it was first built before it was known as Craig y Nos Castle. And then we'll have our guest, who this week is Eira Wyn Lewis. Sadly, Diane Watkins is poorly and couldn't make it, so Eira has stepped in at the last moment, so great thanks to her. And then later on, we'll be having our traditional walk around the castle with our medium in residence, Elaine Taylor, Mr. Marsh, of course, and no doubt Eira will be joining us. And that's all on the programme tonight of In the Psychic's Chair.
MostHauntedCastle.com. Paranormal investigations with a difference. Visit our website or ring reception for details. 01639 731167.
Well, welcome to the second segment of the show, which of course is Mr. Marsh, our resident historian. Hi, Jeremy.
Good afternoon, Lazarus.
Here again.
Thank you.
Obligatory shaking of the hand, you see.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
So, this week we thought we might have a little natter about the very beginnings of Craig y Nos.
Yes.
Which wasn't Craig y Nos at the beginning. Do you want to take us back to the 1840s?
The early days. Captain Rice Davies Powell decided to build his country house, his country mansion here, of course, and this is about early 1840s, and he employed the services of Henry Wyatt, who was a notable architect at that time.
He was very famous indeed, wasn't he? Very sought after.
Yes, he was quite prolific with sort of municipal type buildings and religious buildings because of his semi-Gothic style, which you can see obviously on the front of the castle here. So in the early days, from 1843 onwards, we believe the Powell family here were in residence, which of course at that time was Brymellin and not Craig y Nos as we know it today. And from our experiences with your channeling and so on, we managed to get feedback from the architect himself.
Yeah, we did.
And you might like to enlarge on that.
Well, I mean, it was quite interesting. Obviously, I didn't know anything about anything till I woke up and watched the video. But when I watched the film, I was quite surprised at some of the things that he said. He mentioned that he was very concerned that, there were a couple of lives lost in the building, particularly related to the blasting.
Yes.
Because most of the stone, of course, came from either up the top there or from the Penwood Quarry, didn't it? And there were some people that sadly didn't fare well because of those. And he did make comment that if he had employed them, which the captain was responsible for, he would have perhaps helped their families out a little bit, but he didn't do anything at all, did he?
Yeah, no.
And in fact, I seem to remember him mentioning that even Wyatt's bill wasn't settled in full. I think, didn't he mention the sum of 800 guineas or something that was still owed?
I think that's a figure that comes to mind at the time.
Yeah, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
A lot of money.
Yes. But of course, during the build, there were obviously, I think Captain Powell had expectations beyond his means or aspirations of what the size of the castle should be. And of course, as the work progressed, Henry Wyatt had more and more issues. And of course, I think at some time the funding had become an issue as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he certainly kept telling him, didn't he? The money will be there.
Yeah.
The proverbial, tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes, does it? Yeah. We never did find out whether he settled the bill.
No.
But the other thing that he spoke a lot about was what life was like in Victorian times, didn't he?
Yes.
And how hard it was.
It was, yes.
And the men who were employed in the digging of the foundations and the building and everything else, they used to work 6 days a week, and there was a big camp, wasn't there, down by the river where they
yes.
were all
Yeah.
sort of encamped.
Yes. Yes, I suppose some of the labour may have been imported from, local towns and so on. So because of the of working that week and the travelling involved, some of them, there was obviously sort of encampments down by the river, probably their own dormitories, if you like.
Yeah, I mean, they did all their own cooking and everything.
Yes, they did. Yes.
I mean, it's quite interesting when we think about it. I mean, it's very difficult to actually cast your mind back to this being a total blank landscape and just foundations.
Yeah.
You know, but I can kind of visualize these men running up and down the hill with all sorts of this, that, and the other, you know, to build the place.
That's right.
It must have been, for Wyatt particularly, I think I remember him saying that when it was finished, he was really quite pleased with the finished product.
Yes.
But the captain still was making changes, of course, as was his wont.
Yes.
You mentioned he had ideas above his station. I mean, we know that.
Yes.
And I concern myself greatly about the amount of people in those days who'd commission us to do work but never really had the money to pay for it to be completed. Very interesting. Don't you find that interesting? It's, I think, still the same nowadays for you.
Very interesting.
Life. Yes.
Very interesting and very sad.
It's sad. I didn't say it was sad. You know, we were lucky that we had a little bit of money in the bank, you see, which allowed us to carry on our lives. We didn't suffer as such. I mean, as soon as this place was finished, I was commissioned to build somewhere in Bridgend. So we did a lot of architectural work, a lot. And we were a London company, and we did well. And the captain hunted us down, you see, because we were so well known. But like many, you know, he didn't really have the money to fulfill his dreams. His father certainly wasn't going to give him any more. He'd inherited most of what he had anyway. And then, of course, there was the Overbeck curse that you're more familiar with, that really did ricochet through the whole project, the whole time. So many things went wrong in the structuring. At one point, we were building the foundations, and we had a collapse in the earth that almost like what you would call a sinkhole today, which we had to fill in, which was near the river. And I think it's still a weak point on the bank near the river. I think you will find if you have a little check. And also, we had many men employed here to build the place who were living in an encampment by the river. And, you know, they weren't all paid what they should have been either. You know, there was an awful lot of skullduggery going on, as of course there was in those days. But, you know, the captain was also a magistrate. And it's very interesting how these people make the law up to suit themselves as they went along in powers with no difference.
Yes. Of course, it was. In some respects, it was a difficult site. I mean, the beauty of the landscape around us. We're here, obviously, on the conservatory, the Craig y Nos Conservatory patio, and behind us, you can see the wonderful backdrop. So, I mean, the scenery and everything around us goes without question. But it was probably a difficult site, because the land, as we can appreciate, slopes from what is the main road outside the front gate, gently, and it continues to slope right
all the way down to the river.
And when you go into the cellars, as we've seen when we've been down there, the underneath the footings or the foundations, is that they're quite substantial, you know. So I think probably looking back, a lot of funds and things, allocated for the build of the castle may have been somewhat of an overspend as far as the foundations were concerned.
And I mean, it is a fairly massive plot for digging foundations to build something, isn't it? And I think there was something, I remember reading somewhere that there was around about 150 to 200 men employed at any one particular time when it was being built. I mean, that was quite a workforce.
It was, yes, and I wouldn't be surprised at that number, you know. Because as excuse me, as we said earlier, I mean, people were brought in from the surrounding areas, and those that wanted work, although it's difficult work, would be encamped here.
I remember Wyatt saying there were several stonemasons employed, weren't there?
Yes.
As well as general kind of builders. And
Yes.
I would have thought, although I have no evidence of this, but I would have thought that there was quite a lot of navvies around at the time who did all the donkey work.
Yes. And then when we look at the front of the building, you can see the quite delicate stonework,
Yeah.
which is true stonemason's craft, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I mean, in this area at that time, to produce anything like that would have probably been, for local people, the skills weren't here, were they?
Yeah.
So that you had this scale of from basic labour right up to the highly skilled stonemason that would be required to produce a building like this.
And of course, as we know, all this work that went into it, and really the captain didn't stay that long, did he? Because things went terribly wrong with his family. As
Yes,
spoken about before.
it was a terrible time really for the Powell family. I mean, they were here from, as we said, 1843 onwards. I think the Captain Powell passed away in, I think, 1862, something like that.
Yeah.
But before he passed away, he'd lost his younger daughter, his youngest son, which we believe was cholera. Then he lost his wife, would you believe? He then passed away later, 1862, thereabouts. And then his son, his eldest son, was tragically killed in a riding accident.
It does make me think there might have been more to the Overbeek curse than he would have given right
Yes, that's the famous Overbeek curse, which most people believe to be quite true.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, judging from what happened to his family, it's a bit difficult to deny, isn't it? Really?
Yes, it is. It's quite an interesting thing, really.
Let's give the backstory of that to the viewers, and then we'll leave it there for this week, and hope that they enjoyed the little clip of Thomas Wyatt telling us what was what.
Yeah.
So the backstory to the Overbeek curse is that it was the captain's father, wasn't it?
Yeah, he had a favourite cousin, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a favourite cousin. But all the money was really left to the captain, wasn't it?
Yes.
And the cousin got, I think it was 100 guineas or something, paltry amount. And he never really made a big thing out of it, did he? He wasn't, he just took it on the chin as one should have done. He was serving as a surgeon in the British Army in India at the time.
Yes.
And the captain, of course, who purchased his commission, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't actually serve any meaningful campaigns or anything to obtain his commission. But every time he saw his cousin, he made a big thing about it, about how lucky he was, and he put him down, didn't he, a lot. Sadly for the captain, his cousin was married to one of the Overbeek family, who were a very, very rich South African family who had made their money in slavery and diamonds and gold and everything else. And she had spent a lot of time in the West Indies, hadn't she?
She has, yes.
And knew quite a bit about voodoo and
the occult, yes.
And the occult. And legend says, or legend tells us, that she put a curse on Powell and the family. And history speaks for itself. So we'll leave you, the viewer, to contemplate on the fact whether there was any mileage in the Overbeek curse. I think we think that there was.
There possibly was.
Possibly was. So, and that's it from Jeremy and I this week. We'll be back again next week with more history of Craig y Nos Castle. Well, good evening and welcome to the third segment of tonight's In the Psychic's Chair. And it is our guest in the Psychic's Chair, Eira Wyn Lewis. Hello, Eira. Very kindly nipped in at the last minute due to, sadly, Diane not being well. Eira, welcome to In the Psychic's Chair.
Thank you for having me.
It's an interesting place to be sitting, I think. So let's start. How did it all begin for you?
Oh, how did it all begin? Well, I suppose mediumship for me has always been the norm. It was always spoken about within the family, although most of the family were Baptists. It was given that, oh, so-and-so was here last night, or your Uncle Bob told me so-and-so, it was very natural. But The first time I went to a spiritualist church was when I was 17, and it was the philosophy that enthralled me more than anything. So I carried on going, got to sit in a circle.
So what was it particularly about the philosophy that drew you?
Well, I remember the philosophy. It was this little old woman, and she was talking about how every day of your life, it's like forming a brick for the foundation of the house of your soul. And something about it just grabbed me, you know. So that's why I used to go back and forth. But of course, by going to the circle and what have you, I began to realise what had been happening with me. I was always quite a volatile child. But I realise now I used to be picking up on other people's emotions, atmospheres when I went into a room, you know, and you tend to think a lot of it is in your head. But it was just understanding that, you know, with electromagnetic energy, that the difference between psychic and the spiritual connection with spirit. And I was working at quite a young age, but I started to doubt myself because it was easy for me. And I thought, well, this can't be right. Other people are struggling.
Too easy.
The other people seem to be struggling. Why aren't I struggling? Oh, I must be all in my imagination.
Isn't it? Let me stop you for a moment. Isn't it? I mean, it's interesting because it's a theme that has come up on every program, which is that we all go through a phase of doubting our abilities, of wondering if we're actually crackers, or we really are doing. You know, do you not think that we're supposed to go through that?
I think so, because looking back, if I'd carried on working as I was, I don't think I would have provided the evidence, the best evidence. And for me, that's what it's all about, is best evidence. And, you know, it's other life experiences that come along with it. I believe it's so important, you know, not so much to sit in a circle, but to sit quietly with yourself. And that doesn't have to be a guided meditation. Just to sit down and breathe, and try and connect to that power, that God force.
As the Buddha says, it's the silence within that reveals all.
Definitely. But how I started working again, as you know, Lazarus, a few years ago, we sat in a circle together.
Yes.
And I said to you at the time, yes, I'll sit to make numbers up, to give of my own energy, but I did it with no intention for self-gain in any way. And it was shortly after I was approached and asked if I would do a service. And I said to this woman, well, how do you even know that I'm a medium? And she said, I don't know. She said, please, Eira, and started off from there again.
That's quite a magical encounter.
Yes.
What did it mean to you?
It meant stop dragging your feet, I don't mean. Just get on with it, you know, because, but as I say, for me, it's to do with best evidence, you see. It's always to do with best evidence. And
there is this whole thing, isn't there, between what is an evidential medium and what is a psychic, because the two things are very, very different, aren't they? A lot of people don't realise that.
No, and I think for me, I think the psychic has got a place. For instance, some mediums will work initially on a psychic link to build up a rapport with whoever they're speaking to, and then they'll communicate with spirit. I don't do that, but I think it's important to know the difference. And a lot of mediums now, they don't know the difference. It is something that I feel quite passionate about. It seems that there's a lot of people who get into the spiritualist movement. They want to be on platform. They want payment for private readings immediately. And it's not about serving spirit. And by that, I mean spirit that we can't see, or that I can see, and spirit here as well.
Whoever they are serving themselves, nobody else.
I think so, yes. You know?
I mean, I find it interesting because the whole debate about psychic versus evidential medium, I mean, it seems to me to be a little bit confused at times because when I mean, you know, when I'm looking at an audience, for
Yes.
example, I feel drawn to a particular person.
Yes.
And sometimes I think it's some kind of psychic link that draws me to them to
Yeah.
begin with, and then I'll get some kind of message through or whatever.
Yes.
And it isn't, but you still have that kind of, well, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I tend to work differently, depending on how many times I've been to a particular centre or church. I ask my helpers if, for instance, in Lazarus Church last night, last time I was there, I asked for evidence first. Don't direct me to where I need to go, because I've seen a few of the people. So sometimes I'm drawn to a particular person and then I give the evidence. Other times then I might say, right, I want to speak to somebody whose mother was in a wheelchair for a very long time, you know.
but you decide that.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I ask.
Okay.
I ask for that, you know.
Does it always happen?
No.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Because that sounds like you're kind of like evidentially fishing in a sense. You say, "Well, I want to talk to someone that's in a wheelchair, or been in a wheelchair, or whatever else."
Yeah, but only because that's happened a few weeks ago. That's
Okay.
why that example.
All right,
One
okay.
person put their hand up, you know.
Right.
So yes, I work differently depending on whether I've been there before, how many faces I might recognise, and so forth.
You also work as a healer as well, don't you?
Well, yes, not officially.
You wouldn't call it a healer, but it is, isn't it?
Yes. I did start training to be a healer many years ago, but I moved away. And then when I came back, life took over, you know, working, and I didn't pursue it. I do it incidentally.
Yes.
We'll put it like that, incidentally.
So it's another tool in the box.
Yes.
Right.
I think, you know, we heal people through touch, rubbing, you know, and through the power of thought as well. People do come and see me for a sports massage, and I know automatically I send out a thought of healing on a spiritual level, because I think, you know...
And they don't need to know that, do they?
No, they don't need to know that, but I think that whatever manifests with us in the physical has something to do with our soul needing healing. And a lot of people, you know, they can receive healing, but if their soul isn't ready to heal, then it's just not going to happen.
True. Yeah,
you know,
true.
that's just my personal opinion on it.
So, I mean, you're not as busy as you used to be, because you've been hanging back a lot, haven't you?
Mediumship-wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you going to be coming forward again?
Yeah, I am. I have got things lined up. The reason... Okay. Lazarus, you know me well.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean...
I'll tell you why.
Go on.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, go on.
As I say, evidence to me is very important. And I like to communicate. Let me say this, I do digress, right? I'm very fortunate in the way that I work because I hear spirits as well, I see them, and I take on their body manners and what have you. And to the best of my ability, I like to recreate that person, because I hope that if I give somebody evidence that there's life after death, right, they don't have to come back to me a second time.
That's correct.
Yeah, and it should open, and I say this to people, it should open something within them that there's more to this life, right? So it's not only comfort in grief, it's a whole life-changing experience. That's what it should be, you know. Maybe I'm being a bit idealistic, I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
The reason I've stepped back recently is that, again, I don't like a little bit of what's been going on in the churches and centres, certain mediums who have been working. So I have chosen to distance myself, because I do question it. Why are these people allowed to give these messages, because you see, you're dealing with people who very often are in the first throes of grief. And we can't be offering life advice. Yeah. You know, you're walking a very thin rope when you're giving that evidence. And I think that sometimes not enough care is given when certain mediums are speaking to people.
It's interesting because, I haven't had a guest sitting in this chair who has not brought this up. You know, it's a source of frustration to all gifted mediums. And I think for a number of reasons. One is because people are trying to jump on the bandwagon for one reason and one reason alone, and that's money. And to give service is not about money. I mean, nobody objects to anybody making a living if what they're doing is exactly what they should be doing. But there are a tremendous amount of people around who are essentially fraudulently obtaining funds. You know,
charlatans.
And they're getting work. And I mean, we all know of mediums who alleged mediums who behave like this. And my concern is that, as I'm sure yours and others certainly is that here you have maybe 50 to 100 people sitting in front of you, desperate to hear something from one of their loved ones in spirit. And all they get is rubbish. Absolute garbage. And it does not help anybody at all, except the person who's doing the alleged work. And I think, I mean, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of a medium? You know, I mean, it's a God-given gift, it could be argued. I'm not sure. I mean, I personally feel that it's our sixth sense that we have the ability to develop, that we've all got it, but different life experiences depend on as to whether or not it develops or whatever. But everybody might be able to do it. And that's the problem, that a lot of people do think they can. And as we've said on the program previously, over the last 5 years, it's zoomed. It's absolutely zoomed. It's like a Yorkshire Terrier flying around all over the place. Doesn't know what it's doing. And there's no, dare I say, and how do you do this, quality control?
No, there isn't. And that's the thing.
No rules, no regulations, nothing. And yet, you know, as someone who is trained in the way that you are, and certainly my background and other people that I know, we've spent many, many years getting accreditation for what we do. Why isn't the same true for being a medium, I wonder? Well, $64,000 question.
Yes. I mean, there is the Fraudulent Medium Act.
Yeah.
But
do you actually know anybody who's been prosecuted through that? No, me neither.
No, nobody at all.
I think the last case of fraudulent mediumship was in the 40s or 50s, I think. It's quite a famous case.
People get away with it, I think, because I've noticed online they put down this is for entertainment purposes only, and that's a get-out clause in a lot of ways.
I find that insulting.
And it is insulting because the other thing is a lot of people see mediums as a bit of entertainment. And as I say, to me, and I know to many other mediums, it's not entertainment. It's trying to provide that comfort, that evidence to enhance their life. Not only your grandmother's year, you know, your father's year, but it should be life changing.
Yeah, and it's also about they're still there. You know, just because they're not in a physical body anymore doesn't mean to say they're not there. And we all know we live in a multi-dimensional universe, and the veil is just here, which is why we can access it so easily. And it does seem to me that, you know, I think if you took 100 visitors to a spiritualist church or a spiritualist event, and you said to them, are you coming to be entertained or are you coming to get a message? I think at least 95 out of 100 would say they've come to get a message.
Yes, absolutely.
And that seems to demonstrate to me what people are really there for. And that also seems to me to be the thermometer as to judge to the medium's abilities or not as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all seen mediums bomb for that reason. And I think we've all bombed ourselves at times because everybody has an off day, you know.
Yes.
And we can't get it right all the time. And I think it was Gethin said last week that, you know, just because you might do something for one person doesn't mean to say that you're necessarily the best medium for somebody else.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I've certainly sat in services and seen the medium, liked the medium, but I thought to myself, well, no way am I going to get a message from my father tonight because I know that he wouldn't have a rapport with that medium, you know? So definitely, yes. And the way you speak, maybe the way I work, it doesn't work for everybody. I wouldn't say that I'm a very, what's the word? Not emotional. Yeah, I use the word emotional, coochie, and they sending loads of love to you, my darling. And I don't work.
No,
I
don't
don't work like that. But other people might need to hear that, and I accept that. You know.
I have to say that in 40 years, the most I've ever had is somebody saying, "Please give them my love." That's it.
Yes.
You know, nothing greater than that. Yeah. But I mean, people do want to be comforted, and again, maybe we're in the realms here of people embellishing messages as well, rather than giving it as it's been given.
I think the best evidence always comes when you don't embellish it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For instance, a few weeks ago, I gave a private reading, and in general, I'm not one of these mediums who tune in here tune. I tend to keep my block up. But if I know that I'm going to give a reading or coming here today, then I do expand my awareness. So I was preparing to give this reading, and the woman's father came through. And he said, "Tell her that I've met Tommy. Tommy is with me." Right? You know, some things you do remember. So that's the first thing I said to her, and she burst out crying. It was his best mate.
You couldn't have had a better evidential link.
No, and it's things like that, things that nobody else.
But if you're able to give somebody something like that, you immediately have given them evidence.
Yes.
You've immediately given them some kind of relief, some kind of love, heavenly love in a sense. So anything else that you say after that, it's just going to make them feel even better, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
What's next for Eira Wyn?
What's next for Eira Wyn? Well, I'm going to carry on working. I am going to do that. I think that people would like me to work a little bit more, but I'm holding back on it at the moment because I have to prioritize things with my son and so forth. But yes, I'm going to keep on plodding on and just to provide that comfort to people who need it, you know.
Eira, thank you for being our guest on In the Psychic Chair this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Very kind of you. Eira Wyn, ladies and gentlemen, Eira Wyn Lewis. And thank you very much for stepping in for Diane Watkins. And Diane will be with us in August. So that's it from actually In the Psychic Chair. So we'll be back in a little while for you as we have a little wander around the castle with our
9 ghost stories to fuel paranormal paranoia for insomniacs. A man unable to say no. A headless horse seeks revenge. An ancient castle lost in time. A medium guided by a haunted pen. The whispering windmill. An abandoned railway station. A girl and a raven. A secret passageway. And the very strange absent ball. Illustrated by Jill Brooks and written by Lazarus Carpenter. Available from Amazon, Lulu, Artist and Makers Emporium.uk and LazarusCarpenterAuthor.com. Now on general release and available from LazarusCarpenterAuthor.com and SwiftArrowBooksLimited.co.uk. Only £10.99, including postage and packing. The story of Craig y Nos, Rock of the Night, Walls Have Ears, 1843 to 1877, Volume 1. Why not tune in to Showboat Television Online, Roku or Amazon Fire and watch Whisperings of Craig y Nos Series 1, produced by John Rolls and based on the books by Lazarus Carpenter. A journey into the paranormal, only on Showboat Television.
That was good.
Well, here we are in the theatre. I'm joined by Eira and Elaine. So, tell me, ladies, do you sense anything here?
Well, yes. Before we came in, I did sense, I believe, to be one of Adelina's husbands. I'm not sure which one he is, but he was a very big man. His hair was almost jet black, I want to say, and I know at one time he would have had a little thin moustache. I've seen him opening all the doors and the windows, you see, and I know he would have liked to look out, especially the back of the house, the conservatory, and to the right of the conservatory, he would have liked to look out from that vantage point as well, he said, isn't it?
Well, it sounds very much like Niccolini, her second husband. Of course, he himself was a tenor and a singer, and he was here. I mean, he was here. He passed away in 1898.
Yeah.
And we refer to those as the golden years. But it's funny you should say that, because I mean, when he died, he was suffering from a chest complaint, obviously, and it's quite logical that you know, fresh air was important to him.
Yes.
One of the very reasons why we think Adelina came here, and what she loved about this area was the clean air, the fresh mountain air. You know, he was also very keen on his hunting, his shooting and fishing. And was obviously always looking out to the mountainside where he did those sort of sports.
Oh, I see.
So that's, again, that's very logical of what you've said about Niccolini.
Yes.
Elaine?
Yeah, I always seem to pick him up with dogs.
Yes.
He's a lovely energy, isn't he?
Yes.
And I do feel that there was a closeness, but they would both sing together.
Yes.
But there was other people that would do acts and things here.
Yes.
So I'm very much that, and I've got like little foot people around and flowers, and there would have been a chandelier, and
that's right, there was. Yes.
so yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So yeah.
Anything sort of you can feel around it about us, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a presence here. Can you feel that, Eira?
Yeah, but my attention is drawn here, you see, because we've got a little boy here in hide and seek. I can see you can't see me, back and forth here. I did ask Amber to take a photo. I don't know whether it's come up in the photograph, but it's quite ironic, again, isn't it, that Niccolini with his breathing problems, as you said, and later this was used as a TB hospital.
Yes, indeed.
You know?
Yes. When Adelina passed away in 1919, it was then sold and became a tuberculosis hospital from 1923 to 1959.
But the whole theatre feels alive with children, doesn't it? Because I feel like there would have been like children's things and for magicians and that kind of thing.
Oh yes.
Definitely magician, Elaine, because I'll tell you now, when you pointed to a presence here, I know we've got a mirror here, but I just heard mirror of tricks, hall of tricks, you know, with the magic. Yes, I feel that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it is a very interesting space, and the energy here is beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's exciting as well, isn't it? You feel excited when you come in here. But I know that Adelina was friendly with a lot of musicians and singers. Where's his name? Where's Rossini? Yeah, no.
Centre stage.
Yes,
Rossini.
no, there was a strong connection between
Her
Rossini
best friend,
and...
yes.
Yes. Ah, right, okay. But there was a definite closeness between them, because what I'm seeing is just their hands. And I don't know how we can find out if Rossini had big hands, but I'm seeing that his hands would have been much larger than Adelina.
Well, that's probably because Adelina was small.
She was tiny,
yes.
But he had particularly large hands. This is what I'm feeling.
Right.
Right, okay. And at one time, he suffered with one of his hands. Some problem with one of his hands. This is what I'm picking up. And was it him that used to call her little bird? Because I'm told little bird.
Yeah, I believe it was. I forget now. Was it Robin or Wren or Little Wren or Little Robin or something?
Little bird, and she had a hat made up with a bird in it.
Yes.
And I'm sure there'd be a photo somewhere in the archives of this hat.
That's something for us to look out for.
Look out for that, yeah.
That's fascinating.
I also feel that she was from a long line of musical family, and that she would have brought her family over. I've got a lady, very much like Adelina, but bigger, who would have had a stick and then a Victorian thing, and she comes with an accent.
Well, it could have been. I mean, certainly her elder sister was a notable soprano, not an Adelina, but definitely and often sang with Adelina. And
her father was musical also.
Well, both her parents were opera singers, yes. And they were all a musical family, you know. And her youngest brother, was it Carlo? He was a brilliant violinist, and he toured with Adelina on some occasions. So they were very, very musical family.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. I thought it was only her.
Me too.
Yeah.
No, there was a family of four, but and they were all very musical.
And I do feel
I think I may have mentioned that her elder sister taught Adelina to play the piano at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I do feel there would have been like a little piano. Do you understand that?
Yes, a small harmonium type of thing.
Tink, tink, tink.
Yes.
Sounds a little bit more tinny than a piano.
Yes, could well be. There was instruments throughout the castle in every room of one shape or form. In the function rooms, certainly grand pianos, you know. And I mean, Niccolini had his famous orchestron, which was a huge organ, which was, it had all the instruments of an orchestra, which he used to love to play and demonstrate to the guests.
And I don't know about you, Irene, but I'm getting like an orchestra and bands playing.
That's
and
right.
That kind of
and I'm very drawn to this door, you see, this door at the back, and I'm seeing people coming in through this door here.
Yeah.
That's remarkable, because that was the original entrance.
Ah, right. Okay.
People would come through. We know that the actual doors that we have, because of fire precautions and other things, those are a more modern door than the original. And if you go outside, you can see there's a separate door, which is quite ornate, and that would have been the main entrance.
Right. Okay.
You know? And from that, there was steps that went up, because we believe that at one time there was a small balcony at the rear of the theatre.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating that you can see that.
Yeah. She would have sung up there. But I as I say, my attention was drawn there. I know we came in through these doors, but I wanted, I can see people coming in
through those doors.
There, you see.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah, it's a very uplifting space, very busy. The energy in here is my favourite.
It is really. I find it quite, well, it's a beautiful place, isn't it? I mean, and I find it quite a calming atmosphere in here.
Yeah.
Not that I have your gifts, but it's always calm and
Calm.
It's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yes, nice place to be.
Yeah, happy place.
Great.
Well, there we go. That brings to the end another In the Psychic's Chair. So big thanks, of course, to our guest medium this evening, Eira Wyn Lewis, and our resident medium, Elaine Taylor, and, of course, historian in residence too, Mr. Jeremy Marsh. So from me, Lazarus Carpenter, and in the psychic's chair, we'll see you next week.
MostHauntedCastle.com. Paranormal investigations with a difference. Visit our website or ring reception for details. 01639 731167. In the psychic's chair, the veil between worlds thins, as the smoke deep and let the unseen truths of the immersed, guiding us into the unknown.